What if everything you thought you knew about being African was challenged? Not by hate, but by curiosity. What if every time you said, I am South African, people tilted their head and said, wait, you don't look African? Our guest today is a fourth generation Indian South African who is redefining identity and confused stare at a time. He was born in the same year South Africa took their first breath of independence. He's lived 2 years in Daegu, Korea, speaks a little bit of Korean, and somehow he makes jam out of everything from plum to acorn. This is Two Continents, One Mic, and today the mic is in Korea. Ubie, welcome to Two Continents, One Mic.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Ubie.
Thank you.
How do you feel? How do you feel today? Today on a Sunday?
I feel already tired because I've got so much of work this coming week. So I wish the weekends were more than 24 hours long.
I know. Tell me about it. I wish we had like 5-weekday weekend and 2-day work. That would be perfect for me. I just work 2 days in a week and then rest for the rest of it. I think it's the other way around. But Ubie, do you want to introduce yourself and let us know who you are and where you live and how you've sort of come about this journey?
Okay, so let's actually start with my full name, which is a sort of tongue twister for many people. So my name is Ubaidullah. My surname, or as in Korea they say family name, is Faisal Ilahi. So Ubaidullah Faisal. Ilahi, just Ubie for short. I am from South Africa, so I was born in Gauteng on the East Rand, so not far from Johannesburg, in a city called Benoni, if you know the Hollywood actress Charlize Theron, same city as well. And then when I was in high school, in my 10th grade, we moved to another province called KwaZulu-Natal. And we moved to a very, very small farming town, which I was not happy about. and then I went to university in a coastal city called Durban. So it's like Africa's busiest port. And then I moved back to Newcastle during COVID. And last year I came to Korea. I left the tip of Africa and came literally to one end of Asia.
That's amazing.
I know.
It's an amazing journey. I think it's just quite a lot of sort of, great experiences in that journey. Before I actually move on, I thought it was interesting. Your first name sounds a lot more South African. Am I right to say so?
So it's actually an Arab name. It's very similar to the name, if you've heard the name Abdullah. It's very similar to Abdullah, Ubaidullah.
Ubaidullah.
Okay, gotcha.
That's it.
Nice.
So what's the time over there now?
So now it is 10 past 10 in the evening.
10 past 10 p.m.
Yes.
What's your time?
2 p.m. Honestly, it looks like 10 p.m.
Gloomy London.
Yes, gloomy London, 10 p.m. But yeah, it's the afternoon over where I am at the moment.
And I'm in LA right now, so it's 6:10 for me. So we're thankful that Ubie could join us since it's pretty late for him. And I know you talked about you're traveling tomorrow pretty much in the morning.
Yeah, I'm going to an island in the middle between Japan and Korea. The education office in the city is sending me and about 47 other teachers on this trip. It's an island that's disputed between Japan and Korea, so it's controlled by Korea, and I know they have their navy patrolling all the time there, but
is this Taiwan?
No, it's Ulongdo and Dokdo.
Okay, I wouldn't have known that one, I promise.
So yeah.
When I looked at your social media, and we're gonna get into that, you are always traveling. I feel like you've explored the entire Korea. Like I was like, he's on every different. So we're going to get into that. But before we start, I'm going to do like a quick fire round before we get deep. So are you ready?
Mhm.
Okay. So what food instantly reminds you of home?
There's two. So where I'm from in northern South Africa, in Gauteng, my birth province, we have the sort of sandwich called AK-47. So it's not the gun AK-47. It's a sandwich that's loaded with a lot of things. So think of a baguette, but much longer and fatter. And inside it's stuffed with chips. So like not French fries. It's sort of, we call it slap chips. So it's like wiggly chips.
Yeah, like
And
is that
then
crisp? What
I
would
don't know,
call
not crisps, not crisps.
no?
So
Okay.
chips, fried potatoes, but not crispy. They still
Oh,
soft.
gotcha.
And then I think the equivalent in the UK would be like chip butty,
Oh,
sort of chips like that. And then it's stuffed so with chips. You've got like your coleslaw, or you can have some salad. It's stuffed with like burger patties, polony, Viennas, Russians, cheese, sauce. Then you get a chicken one. So instead of having steak, then you have chicken in there. And it's, yeah.
nice. Do you love it?
I love it. And then when I moved to the other province, KZN, it's like sort of the national dish of Durban. It's called bunny chow. So it has nothing to do with bunnies or rabbits. It's just a hollowed out piece of bread. So you get a quarter loaf, you get a half loaf. It's hollowed out, and then it's filled with South African style curry. So South African style Indian curry. But the original one is the beans bunny chow. Now you get what's this, chicken curry and mutton curry. My favorite is mutton. And then you sort of get like your more fancy people. So they decide to put butter chicken and other things inside. It doesn't taste nice. It's just the beans bunny chow, mutton bunny chow. Chicken is not really my favorite. So yeah. And it's served with pickled chilies or pickled vegetables and like grated and pickled carrots.
What I'm hearing is that you definitely miss South African food. That's literally all I'm hearing. Is that, am I correct to think so? Because you are giving such a description.
As much as I love Korean food, I do miss South African food, especially the flavors. And yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. There's like 2 South African restaurants that I know of in the whole country, and they are not close to me. One is in the capital, and one is in another city called Pyeongtaek.
So, what is one thing that Koreans do that just shocks you every time?
There are many things, actually. Many things. You know, when I first came to Korea last year, I came in towards the tail end of winter, and it was freezing. So I checked into my hotel, and then I went out to get something warm to drink. And when I went to the cafe, I got a shock of my life because I saw Koreans ordering and drinking iced Americano. And I was like, huh,
winter.
Is there something wrong with me? And then after like a few weeks, I made some Korean friends and I asked them, what is this deal with Koreans drinking iced Americano in midst of winter? And they were like, it's a thing. They love Americano. So they say it's to help them cool down. The other thing was like South Africans, and in South Africa, you always, you meet someone, you talk to them, or you bump into someone to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Koreans have this culture, pali pali culture, is this they move in one direction, up, that's it. So if you bump into someone, by the time you turn around to say sorry, that person's already gone. So that was something that surprised me. And the other thing that surprised me was when you go to like it's not all train stations, but definitely every restaurant or coffee shop I've been to. So there is a bin that's in each toilet cubicle. And that bin is for when you do your business, your number 2. You don't flush it, you put it into that, and you can see, it's like, oh my God.
Oh, that is so shocking.
If
that
you
would
sit
tip
long
me
enough
off.
in like sometimes I study in a coffee shop, and then you'll see like the staff going to empty it. And I'm like, oh my God, imagine doing this every day while
Do you
working
know,
at a
like,
coffee shop.
I think I've seen that before. I'm trying to remember what country. I think it was like that Indonesia. Somewhere I went and it's like, don't flush the toilet. This is the tissue put in. I was like, who's doing that? No, sorry.
That was, yeah.
We need no
That
evidence. What do you mean?
that would be concerning for me.
That would be
Yeah.
concerning. Would be. I think I'd be interested to know how you kind of, because you've lived in all these places and they're really great places, right? I've been to South Korea. I only stopped honestly in South Korea for like a day, and so I know very little about it. Tony, I don't know if you've been to South Korea.
Nope. I
No.
work with a South Korean colleague, and she's always telling me about it.
Yeah. So I mean, how did you feel about the moving from South Africa, from where you were born, and then obviously to the second place you moved to, and then out of the country? How did you feel, and like also what drove that decision for you to move all these places?
Well, the move, so I was very excited to move well, prior to the pandemic, the only thing that I knew about South Korea was Son Heung-min. I love football, so even though I didn't support Tottenham Hotspur, I knew Son Heung-min. I'm actually a Liverpool supporter. And I knew Psy because of Gangnam Style. And then I knew, so as a football lover, and my dad was also a football lover, I knew that there was a World Cup in Korea in 2002. And then obviously with the Korean War and South Africa sending a contingent of soldiers during that war, I learned a little bit about it, that war in history in school. I did not know about the whole K-pop, K-drama, K-beauty thing going on. That was thanks to my sister during COVID. I ended up learning about all of this. So that's not actually what drove me to come to Korea, but that's
I
when I
mean, that would
started
have
to
been a
learn
nice
more.
story, just say, if that was what drove you, because I
So,
wouldn't judge.
so actually, I'm not a teacher by profession. I did social sciences, geography and environmental management, and then I was doing my master's degree in development studies. So I did both economic history and political science and development and all of that. And through my readings, then we had learned about all these Asian tigers and how they had sort of, had these economic booms and miracles. And they always compare that, like in economic history and political science, to many of the African countries. So that also intrigued me a little bit. And then the pandemic happened, and then I came home, and then I was unemployed for a few months, and then my school gave me a job as actually first a science teacher, and then at the high school that I had graduated from, I applied for a social sciences position, and I ended up getting it. And then I saw a couple of people. It was just by accident, by chance. I was scrolling on TikTok, and then I saw people in China, and then I applied in China actually. And then, well, China still had a big lockdown going on. And, I'll tell you the story. I forgot about the interview for China, and I was on our family farm. And then I had put a notice on my phone, and it was like 5 minutes before this interview was supposed to take place, and I was busy horse riding. And I was like, my God. And by the time I got back, it was like half an hour, and then I sent a message, and I was like, I'm so sorry, we had this thing. We had this thing in South Africa called load shedding. So I was like, we had the electricity went off, and it was just such drama. And then she was like, fine, we can do it again. And I didn't expect her to do it on the same day. And there I am sitting in the field and on my phone instead of my laptop. And I was like, you know what? And I told her that, I'm actually in the middle of the field. And if you see animals and giraffe and stuff walking around, just ignore it. But my neighbor was the one who had the zebras and giraffe. But I think the lady that interviewed me was so fascinated that I was in the bush. That's the only reason I think I had passed that interview. But anyway, I didn't go to China because they had a hard lockdown. They weren't allowing anyone to go in. And then I got curious. I started Googling about other countries because I had learned like there's so much of perks people get, especially if you come from the United Kingdom, Ireland, Canada. Australia, South Africa, and obviously the United States.
Yeah.
And then I saw Japan. I have actually applied in Japan. I was supposed to go to Okinawa, and then two of my brothers got married in the same year. So if I went, I would have not made their weddings. And then I applied, and then I saw Korea, and I was like, people seem to be having a wonderful time here. And then I applied. But Korea gave me their answer last because I had applied in, again in China. I got a contract. I had applied. It was this islands in South America, but very small village island. And I was like, I was tempted, and I was like, when I found out the population of 600 people, I was like,
Mm.
I applied in Mexico, and I got an offer for some small resort sort of town. I even forgot where. There was Ibiza. I applied for it. I didn't get it. And then Vietnam, I got a place in Vietnam. But after I had seen how people had been living in Korea and posting, I was like, yeah, my heart is set in Korea.
I'm gonna
And
say,
I came here.
I noticed that the places you chose is, in my mind, very strategic. Weather and fun wise, was this intentional that you picked? Because I thought, okay, Cancun, no, not Cancun, Mexico,
Ibiza.
Ibiza. Very interesting selection. Was there any chance you were also going for like a good time? Work
Yeah.
and pleasure.
So, you know what? There's this sort of stereotype, which is kind of true, that Asian parents are quite strict and they force their kids to, it's just school, study, study, study. You can have fun when you become successful. So
Yeah.
I was like, maybe just for a year, I would. Yeah.
I get it. Absolutely get it.
So
Yeah.
just going off, let me double back. So you're fourth generation Indian South
Fourth, yeah.
African, born in the first year of democracy, right? Just take us back a little bit to, like, what did home mean to you growing up? Because I think one of the things you said in your voice note was, like, when did you realize or you saw yourself differently? Not Indian, not white, not black, just South African.
That would be when I had So I started my first grade 1, in 2001. And well, prior to that, this may come as a shock, but I did not know about apartheid or who Nelson Mandela was. That was not like something I think kids at that age spoke about. We were more interested in Teletubbies and other things. When I went to it was my first day of grade 1, and the second graders were singing the national anthem. And I didn't understand the beginning or most of the anthem because it is in other languages. But when it came to the English part, sounds the call to come together and united we shall stand, let us live in strife for freedom in South Africa, our land. And I thought to myself, was this country, were we in civil war, or did we have was there a conflict or something? Because I knew about the Palestinian conflict and the Rwandan genocide, partly in thanks to my parents. And then obviously we had learned about the struggle for freedom and how it involved all races. And then the most famous of the independence icons were the Rivonia Trialists, which was Mandela, who was obviously our first democratically elected president, and we consider him as the father of our nation. The father of the second president, which was Governor Mbeki. There was Ahmed Kathrada, who was also of Indian descent. And then there was Dennis Goldberg, who was a white South African. He was the youngest. There was obviously others like Andrew Mngeni. And as I learned sort of the history of the struggle, I sort of saw myself as even more South African. So prior to that, I didn't think of myself as, just being Indian or being Muslim. It was, I guess at that age, you don't really think about all of that. But after so the government sort of went on this drive to teach young South Africans, because when I I read that in 2001 they had implemented a new educational policy, and there was this big drive to teach children about South African history, the struggle to end apartheid, and focusing on this sort of unity and nation building. So it was, I guess, from very early on, I had seen myself as, not just Indian South African, Muslim South African, but as South African. Although you do get, which I like to call people with one foot in the grave, that would make it a point that, you are foreign or you don't belong here. It's all, I just call them apartheid relics.
Mm.
So,
I actually have a question from that. So I do know a little bit. I know, Tony, you have loads of questions around it, but I'm very interested in history, global history. It's one of the reasons why I have done quite a few travels.
Mhm.
Not been to South Africa yet, but it's definitely on my list. But when I started to learn about apartheid, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, I think that's how you say it, right?
Yeah. Well, South Africans normally they say apartheid.
Apartheid. I think the first time I've heard about Mandela, right? So we all kind of knew about Mandela, but I guess the history and the context wasn't necessarily always given. We just knew he was a great guy. At least that's how I thought about it. A great guy. He did something notable in South Africa. And then I started to read a little bit about it. I thought, oh, interesting. And then I guess connected dots in my head because I think from my childhood, I'd heard bits and pieces here, but it just didn't add up. So, for example, I watched that movie Sarafina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony, did you watch Sarafina?
I feel like I did, but I can't
It's Freedom
remember.
is coming tomorrow.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like a big movie. I loved it. I was there. Freedom is coming on. I had no idea.
Goldberg was it? Yeah,
Yes.
Whoopi Goldberg was the
Huh.
lead
It's
actress.
such a
Oh,
goose
yeah.
pimple
Yeah.
raisin movie. I think was she in the movie? I think she was one of the girl. Maybe she was one of the girls. I think the students. I can't remember. But yeah, so I remember watching the movie but didn't know what it was about. And I remember like Mandela, I just did. So when I read about the history of apartheid, I just now thought, oh wow, it's actually all connected and all kind of like leads up to it. But I think you said something that Mandela was the first democratic elected president. So is that to say, was that 1993 first of all? Was that 1993?
94.
94. So was that to say everything before that was not democratic? It was the apartheid regime.
Yeah. So, by 1948, the Nationalist or the National Party had won the election. Prior to 1948, in the Cape region, so where Cape Town is, we have this. So apartheid had classified you in 4 major racial groups: white, black African, or just African, Indian, Asian, and then colored. So colored people were on the voters' roll within just the Cape region only. And then after 48, it was only white people that were allowed to vote. They had the system called the homelands where majority African people were legal citizens of. It was more just like a labor camp where white South Africa could source cheap labor for mines and construction work and all dangerous jobs. South Africans of Asian descent, so Indian and Chinese South Africans, didn't vote up until, so in the 1980s, the last white leader of South Africa, de Klerk, his predecessor had the tricameral parliament, which had allowed colored and Indian people to vote, but it was largely boycotted. So I had read that about 6% of the Indian or / Asian electorate had participated. It was mainly boycotted. But African people were not allowed to vote. It was up until 94 that everyone was given the chance to one person, one ballot.
Interesting.
That is
Wow.
wild. That is interesting. And you were saying a lot of all this prior to you going to grade 1, you learned from your parents. So pretty much you grew up in a post-apartheid home with parents who still carry the weight of that era. How has they like their own beliefs? Because coming from that era, imagine, like, oh, we couldn't vote, and now they had a kid post that era. How does that? What was your upbringing in just because I'm just in my mind I'm thinking it's like, oh, you just came out from a place or from a time where there's segregation, right? And now they've opened the doors to everyone, and then you just had a child, and you're like, okay, my understanding is we're not supposed to be in certain places, we're not supposed to vote. How do you raise a child, or how are you raised in that format of now you're open to all of this?
So actually, I need to ask my parents what they were thinking, is because before I answer the question, in grade 9, I had an assignment where we had to interview 20 members of our family and ask them where were they on the 27th of September and 27th of April 1994. That was the day we celebrated Freedom Day in South Africa. It was when everyone had voted. And what was the feeling? What was the country like? And everyone thought we were going to descend into civil war. So people had been stockpiling food. So if you went to supermarkets, most of it was empty.
Wow.
People had been grouping into sort of like militia because everyone feared that at that time the army was still under white control. They feared that they would lead a coup. And then some people felt that the liberation movements, the armed part of it, would go on a revenge killing spree. And then obviously you had the homelands, who their leaders, all of them were what we would call puppets, because they were kept in power, or they were put there by the apartheid regime. They had led massacres, and they were trying to still, they wanted to be they didn't want to become part of this new South Africa. So there was a lot of violence it wasn't just this, harmonious thing that just happened. Blood was shed, but
Yeah.
not on not on a civil war scale.
Was it similar to Sarafina in a way that, because I watched the movie like twice and I was a kid, I didn't get it, but I knew the good guys won at the end. That's what it felt like.
So yeah, well,
So-
I mean, the apartheid regime did enthusiastically, I would say, kill anyone who I guess was not white. You spoke out against the government. Immediately you were labeled as a communist or ANC supporter or what have you. Yeah. Now, talking about the early 90s, if I can remember correctly, I was very young. I was like 5, 6. I remember my parents, so you pick up things from your parents. And I remembered, they would be like, oh, these Afrikaners. So I was like, also, these Afrikaners. So when I saw white kids, I was like, but I didn't know why. So, yeah. Yeah, it was that. And then I learned, obviously, we went to school and we learned about our history and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's great that, I mean, what has it been, 20 something, 30 years now? I think
31 years this year.
31 years. I think it's interesting. It's great that so much progress has been made. I don't know what it feels like on ground, but it feels like when I read things online. So I think I've seen posts on social media where things are happening. Maybe it's just political, maybe it's just like social stuff. And everyone I see that's from South Africa talk about the rainbow state, everybody come together. I think that was Mandela's thing where he was pushing for united South Africa. So I think it's great that is what the majority want, because it's now home to so many different people.
Yeah.
It's almost like you kind of have to find a way to live together and just move forward, which I guess it's trying to do. So that's great. But I think the one thing we ask a lot of guests who's moved away from Africa, moved into the world, is, I don't know if you felt that way, but in Africa, we don't have that identity. We don't feel like, oh, I'm African, or oh, I'm this, or you just kind of like, I exist in my world. And then you move out of Africa, then you have all these labels slapped on you. And you're like, oh, I'm black, I'm Asian, I'm African. I didn't know these things when I was back home, right? How does that sort of and also in South Africa being quite unique because it has such a different dynamic structure racially and politically. How do you feel like moving away completely has changed your perspective on just who you are, but also the world?
So, okay, being an African of Indian or Asian descent, and having South Africa being the most diverse country on the African continent and one of the most diverse in the world, you do meet other people, and occasionally they would tell you, oh, you don't belong here. But I never really, it would be upsetting sometimes, but it wasn't to a point where it would frustrate me, because my friends would always say, oh, but ignore them, you belong here. But
Yeah.
when I go to other countries and when they look at my passport at passport control, or if I'm walking somewhere and people would stop me and be like, oh, where are you from? And I say, South Africa. As soon as they hear just the word Africa and they look at me, it's like their brain has reset. It's like going through a whole process. And then they would just look at me stunned. And then after a few seconds, they'd be like, oh, where are your parents from? And I'd
No.
be South Africa. And they're like, no. Where are they from? Like your grandparents? And I'd be South Africa. But where are your people from? South Africa. But like your ancestors, my ancestors came from South Africa, and their ancestors came from South Asia. So it was like, yeah. So like
Going back.
okay. So it does. Yeah, it
I
does.
think I find that interesting because I feel like they think they have the answer. They want you to say it.
Yeah. And so a lot of them are very fascinated. Some people are like shocked and they were like, how, why? And they're like, would you ever move back to like your country? I'm like, what do you mean move back to my country? Like, there's like, I'm like, you mean move back to South Africa? And they're like, no. I'm like, which other country should I move to? That is my country. So when I went to Egypt, a lot of them were surprised. When I went to France, people didn't want to believe I'm from South Africa. They said, oh, you speak English. You're probably from the UK or you're from Australia. And I'm like, no, I am from South Africa. And well, here in Korea, everyone either assumes I'm from America or the United Kingdom. Occasionally, people think I'm from Saudi. Sometimes they say, oh, maybe you're from India. They do give me weird countries sometimes. They're like, are you from Mexico? Are you from Argentina? Are you from Egypt? I'm like, whoa, no. So,
do you ever use that to your advantage? Yeah, I'm American or I'm Mexican.
No. I should.
No?
I should.
It's just like
but I've
let them
never.
think something wild and just pick the most. Like, oh, you think I'm from I don't know, Iran? Yeah.
God, yeah. Once even they asked me, are you Iranian? So one day I went to, I'm not really a person that enjoys going to clubs, but I went with my friend and there were these Korean girls that came, which they seemed too young to be in that club. But anyway, they were there. And then the two of them came. One could speak broken English, one couldn't speak English. So we had a conversation, but she insisted on speaking English. So I was like, fine. And she wanted to know if I'm American. And I was like, nope. And then there was a South African, there was an American of Indian descent. So he was like first generation born. And she didn't want to believe that he was American because obviously he's not white. And she assumed I was because I teach American English. So occasionally, sometimes I end up, with all that vocabulary. And yeah, so my Korean friends actually one day asked me, they were like, Ubie, why do you say you are African? Because you are Asian. So I'm like, well, I get what you're trying to say, but I am African. They're like, no. So I'm like, racially or ethnically, yes, I'm not African. But my nationality is. Ethnically, I would be like in the UK, I'd have to take Asian. In South Africa, it's Indian Asian. I don't know here in this continent of Asia what I would take because I've never had to take that. But I get what you're trying to say. I'm African of Asian descent. If anything, I am more African. I'm more aware of African culture, and it's incorporated in my personal life, in my family's life. I know a little bit of Asian or Indian culture. It's just like maybe with regards to like weddings or even the food, like South African Indian food is very different from Indian food in India.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that's a interesting because I do have a friend. I have two friends actually. I have a friend who's born and grew up in Antigua, and she's of Asian descent. She doesn't know anything about Asia. She's like, I'm Caribbean. I don't know what you guys mean. And I have another who is family is originally from India, but she was born and grew up in Kenya. So she's like, whenever we travel together, she's like, oh, I'm Kenyan. Everyone's like, huh? Like, yeah, she's Kenyan. I don't know what you want her to say. That's where she was born, and that's where she's grown up. But I think that's just a clear difference of maybe people not understanding race and nationality. A lot of people from African descent are British, but it's like there's race and there's nationality. You have to kind of know the difference. So that's interesting. Tony, I think you wanted to say something there.
Yeah, I think I was gonna double back on him saying that because you teach American English, it's interesting, like how you as a social scientist, that's how you started off, fell in love with teaching.
So I never saw myself as a teacher. In school, our teachers would always say, never become a teacher. The pay is too low and there's too much of work. But to me, it didn't make sense because like in South Africa, many schools it's like half day. You go to school on a Friday. So we finish school at either 12:20, 20 past 12, or at 1. Some very few schools would finish at like 2. And then school generally ends at 2:30. We obviously start at 7:30. But and then teachers get all the public holidays, all the school holidays, plus they are given additional 3 weeks that they can take, and they get a housing allowance. If they're traveling from far, they get a petrol allowance. It didn't make sense to me. But
in
anyway,
South Africa?
I was like, in South Africa, yeah.
Wow. Hey, Nigeria, take this cue.
I think historical that used to be a thing generally. I remember I read this book about Nigeria, like I don't know, 24 Nigerian teachers back in the day. They used to get like a living quarters.
Yes.
Like so deducted or free living accommodation. Obviously you have the summer break, the big holidays, which is always great. But yeah.
And then so when I started, I took the job because I was unemployed. And then I fell in love with it because I was teaching a primary school, or you would say elementary in America. And I kind of enjoyed it with the students. So I took a very different approach to teaching. Firstly, I hated homework as a student, and I myself didn't like giving homework to students. I believe that learning takes place in school. You got to make it attractive to the students. But I was forced to give homework in primary school. And one way I got my students to get to do their homework was I told them, if you do your homework, I will follow you on TikTok. And only 2 students did it. And I followed them because they thought I was lying. And when I did that, the next week, I think about half the grades that I taught, I used to teach 5th grade, 6th grade, and 7th grade science and then technology. Half of them did it. And then I was like, well, now I can't play that trick anymore. I was like, I will like your videos if you do your homework.
That's
so
clever.
Yeah. And then I went to high school, and the vice principal at the high school was very, very, very helpful. So he told me, please, Ubie, no homework. I was like, yes, I agree with you, no homework. But I enjoyed interacting with the students because it kind of reminded me of my time at school because I liked talking to my teachers. Some teachers, we would call them either bats, or we'd call them bulldogs, or Umbridge from Harry Potter, because they were just so angry. They just hated you. Like if you came to ask them a question, they were like, oh, I'm busy, or later. And like if you didn't understand something, like, why don't you understand, instead of trying to help you. So some of my students, they used to come and talk to me during lunchtime and stuff like that. So I kind of sort of developed this passion for teaching while I got into teaching, because I just saw teaching as a thing to bide my time and gain work experience. And then I fell in love with it. So
and it's nice. I just want to know, I can understand bulldog. Why bats? Are they?
So bat in South Africa, well, with us, like when we were in school, bat was for if you were ugly. So if the teacher was like, oh, that bat.
I was like, I understand bulldog being angry. I was like, what is a bat?
And we used to give our teachers, I'm sure you guys did that as well. We would give them nicknames, and like teachers that had. There was this movie that came out, Aliens versus
Predator?
Monsters. It was a cartoon. And the one teacher, he was like so unenthusiastic about teaching, but he had a very big head. We used to call him Megamind because he looked like the guy
Wow.
from Megamind.
Now this will interest you. Tony and I went to the same secondary school for a few years. He was the guy that, well, he was one of those guys that gave the nickname that stuck. And I don't know who gave this one, but who gave that teacher a gamma lizard? There was a guy who was really like tall and he had this posture that he was like that. And when he walked, he had that like, think about like a alligator or a lizard walking on two legs. And then someone called it a gamma lizard. And till this day, I don't know what his name is, but I know the teacher is a gamma lizard. Tony, who started that?
For me, if that one is, it would either be Ogie
Okay, someone
or
gave him
Julius. One
yeah.
of the two of them. Yeah, I think kids are always going to have that just to be like, oh, this teacher is like, nah. Like, there's so many teachers I don't know their name, but I know the name that we gave them. Like, it's like, what's his real name? And you're thinking, it's like, nah, I got nothing. That's it. That's what's sticking. But if you could redesign South African education system using something you've seen now in Korea, like, what would you apply from what you've learned now in Korea? What would you take back home?
Well, the education is very, very, very intense in South Korea. It's this like sort of cutthroat system where education and marks determines like your whole future. It determines which university you get into, which jobs you can take. And they take it very seriously. So they have this private academies. Students, like many of my students, only come home at like 10 in the evening. After school, they go into private academies for English,
Hagwons?
math, science. Hagwons, yes.
Yeah.
And I feel very sorry for them. I even feel sorry for the native English teachers that work at Hagwons because the pressure on them is so much. But the investment that the Korean government makes in public education, I feel that is something our government in South Africa should do as well. It is a big chunk of our national budget. It's just that you don't see what they are spending it on because so many, like in Korea, they are actually closing schools because there are not enough students to fill these schools. In South Africa, we don't have enough schools or they're very underfunded. In Korea, students do not pay for uniforms. They get it free. They do not pay for lunch. And when I mean the food is nutritious, they've got nutritionists at every school and they eat very nutritious food. It's not sugary or boxed or canned food. The extra curricular activities that they have is really, really good. Like in my school or many of the schools, they're embracing this whole concept of AI. So we've got AI textbooks. Each student is issued with a school-issued tablet to assist them with learning. That's something I wish, even math, like if a student needs extra lessons, they can talk to the teacher and the school will pay the teacher for the extra time. In South Africa, very few teachers do that. They would charge you for that. And it's become an issue, especially with like accounting and biology. Some teachers realize that they could make a lot of money by doing tuition. And so, like, I don't think they would give their 110% effort teaching. They would do it via tuition, where they're getting paid extra. So that's something I wish they would do. Also, they have each school has like a guidance counselor where they help students figure out their career. And then when they go to high school, depending on your marks, you either go to a high school that prepares you for the working environment or you go to a high school that prepares you for university. So that's something I wish.
I can't speak enough how useful it is to have guidance counselor. I don't think people and parents think about how much kids do not know what they want to be when they grow up. A lot of them, I think, well, everyone have skills and talents and gifts. And I think there is this like thing balancing what you're good at, what you actually like to do, and what will pay for your life, really. There is that, trifecta thing where it's like what you like to do and what you're good at. No, what you're good at, what you like to do, and what can pay for your life. Because if you have only two, chances are, so for example, if you go for something that you have some skills at doing, right? And then you also like doing it, so you're great at playing piano and you like playing piano. Is that going to pay for your life? Are you going to end up in the shoebox, right? You might be doing what you love, living in a shoebox,
Yeah.
right? Or you end up going for something that is really like in terms of financial remuneration, you make good money. So, hey, you're going to be a doctor. Tony, no shade. You're going to be a doctor, and maybe you're really good at listening to people, but you hate it. You know, you kind of have to balance what you like to do, what you're good at doing, and what will make you money. And I think even most people in their 20s and 30s still don't know it. And it'd be so good if at the age of 5, someone's like asking people, kids, what do you really want to do? Okay, maybe you want to be a magician. Let's just put that to the side. That will not make you any money. You could be a Halloween prop now and again, but that will not work. Okay, then you're like, okay, look at the kid, and then maybe they are good at public speaking. So you're good at public speaking. If you like talking to people, you could be, I can train you to work in, TV station, work as a front-facing personality of some sort that would make you money. And I think when I think back now, I think I've said to Tony, I actually really wanted to go into the medical field. But crazy enough, I have interest in history. So I'm just, I don't even know how that would tie together. But if I had a guidance counselor who sat me down as a kid to work out what I'm good at, what I like to do, and what I know that will make me some type of money in the future, I think that's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
And people don't think about how important that thing is, because now a lot of people, as we've seen Gen Z, they get into the 9 to 5 and they're quitting. They don't want to be promoted. They don't want to. I saw a video. I was like, "This life is not for me. I don't want to move forward. I don't want to be promoted. I don't want to be the manager. I just don't want to be here." So I'm thinking that's great. You can hang up the wall. What are you going to do to survive? You're going to have to do something you train
It's
to
true.
do. And if it's not what you've liked, or it's not what you like, then unfortunately you're going to have to do it.
In South Africa, I think it's the same in America and the UK. Students are allowed to express individuality, and we have this, I don't know if it's a thing in you guys' schools where now you get more than 2 genders. And I mean, that's all fine. But in Korea, that is no. There's no such
Gotcha.
thing as expressing that in school you are LGBT and all of that. Your focus is just study. That's it.
So, like, I was going through your Instagram, and I feel like your travel diaries, they all look like digital postcards. I don't know how you make those clips, but they look up like you can literally put that on a postcard and mail, and they will do very well. So you go to the temples, you've hiked peaks, you've gone on festivals, you're always making jam, and then you said you're never gonna try raw crabs again. When say your friends back home, when they see this, do they feel like you're living the life?
They think I am Elon Musk's son or something.
That would be nice.
I wish. But yeah, I do. It was always my dream to. So the reason why I do this, and I've realized that I can fulfill my childhood dream by teaching, is when I was a little boy, my friends and my cousins would always winter or summer holiday. They would go somewhere overseas, but my parents were always working, or we didn't have enough money to go and travel. But we'd always go to the airport to see them off or pick them up. And I was like, one day I'm going to go. And I remember I said one day I will go to Egypt and one day I will go to France. In 2017, I managed to go to France to represent South Africa. I was in France for 1 week, all expenses paid. In 18, I was selected to represent South Africa at the Model Arab African Summit in Sharm el-Sheikh. Again, all expenses paid for. Now I travel using my own money via teaching. But yeah. So my Instagram is basically my digital diary. So I can look back and be like, oh, this is what I did, and these are the memories that I made. And my friends they've been pushing me to try and become a travel influencer. But no, it's so much of work to edit videos. And no, I'm like, I do it because it's my hobby. I don't want to become a travel influencer. So I even have a TikTok account, but I hardly post on that TikTok account. Most of my stuff are on
Yeah.
my Instagram account. And most of my followers, you're not going to believe it, are my students in Korea because they like looking at seeing what I do. So I have a very, very personal relationship with all my students. And I didn't realize it until the education office one day told me that we had to submit a video of us teaching. So it's like part of your, like, they do it yearly to see how you're progressing and whether you're doing a good job. And then you go in for a meeting and then they were like, oh, you seem to have a very good relationship with your students. They seem to trust you. And I was like, okay. And then the teachers at school told me the same thing. So I was like, it's probably because they see what I'm doing on the weekends. I have a life outside of school.
That's
That's very nice. I think just on
So
the topic of editing videos, trust me, I know. I have like my Tony would guess. I know. I like Tony, leave me out of this. Like, dude.
most of my stuff goes under. I've got highlights. They go under
Yeah.
highlights here.
I honestly, highlight now does this thing like TikTok where it automatically creates a reel. I'm just like, do it for me because I don't have time. The last time I tried to do the whole video vlogging thing, I remember I was in New York, so I had like my camera, and I'm like, come on, I was like, today I'm going to go to Madison Square. So I'm like walking this camera, and I just thought, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous because I'm like, why am I carrying camera everywhere? And then even when I stopped and I got there, by the time I had my lunch, I had forgotten I was supposed to be vlogging. So now I have a video that starts with me leaving the house and no afternoon activity, and then I'm going back.
If I tell you how much of videos I have on my phone that I have to edit, and now like my friends, when they're like, Ubie, when are you ever in Daegu? Because like every weekend you somewhere. And how do you travel? So I'm like, well, I made Korean friends, and I budget travel. I'm not spending hundreds and thousands of rands here and there. I look at discounts and which is the cheapest accommodation, and I sit
and Southeast Asia is great for that. You get a lot of good quality for price. Yeah.
Even in Korea, I'm not staying in these fancy hotels that cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Although, so yeah, and well, I have a friend, so he's from America, and he sort of tags along with me. Now he videos me whatever I do, and it's like, Ubie, your phone, or he'll video me and send me the videos. And it's like, you have to become a travel influencer. And many of my friends are trying to be travel influencers, but they've asked like, Ubie, how are you doing it? Because when they see like I'm getting 2,000 views or so many people are sharing this and that, I'm like, you know what? I don't know. It's just maybe because I'm being all natural. I'm not faking or I'm not trying too hard. Maybe just, be original. Don't.
Do you ever start your video by "come with me" as I go to? Do you ever start? I find those like phrases. So come with me as I go check out. I'm not coming nowhere with you.
Never.
It's like,
I have so many other videos of myself. Like not last week, the week before, it was a very long traditional Korean holiday called Chuseok. It's like Korean Thanksgiving. So we had the whole week off, and I went to an island south of the South Korean peninsula called Tongyong, and it's a group of islands. And I took so many videos, and I tried food that I would not try again in a hurry. So I don't know if you've seen videos of I misunderstood what my Korean friends have said, because I have eaten raw fish before, and we went to this fish market, traditional market where they had live fish, ocean fish, and they were like, we should try fish. Do you eat sashimi? And I was like, yes, I have eaten raw fish. I don't mind eating it again. And they were like, we'll get octopus. And so I thought I heard they said it would be cooked. Only the fish would be raw. Anyway, we were walking, and as we were talking to like the lady, there's so many fish stalls. We went to one fish stall, and as we were speaking, this fish started spitting at us. I was like, nope, we're eating him. Then, anyway, she butchered him like it was, But she sliced it very thin and all of that, and then came the octopus and the clams and the sea squirts and sea cucumbers, and I was like, it's raw. And they were like, I thought it's been cooked. And like, no, this is raw. I ate octopus. When you chop an octopus up and it's dead, its muscles and God knows what other cartilage still wiggles. Like if you've ever chopped a snake, you would know its body still wiggles. That octopus was doing that, and I was like, oh
God.
And yeah, no, I mean, I love octopus. I love it cooked.
Yeah.
But I would not eat that again in a hurry. There was something that its tentacles, that sucker thingies were getting stuck to the plate, and with my chopsticks, I couldn't pull it. Oh my word.
What else? I know South Korea, is it like, from memory, it's not that big, but it sounds like there's a lot to do. There's a lot to see.
So, like, every town or village is known for some kind of fruit or vegetable or something. Like where I live, Daegu is apples. You saw the video of me making jam that was pisang. So it's actually more known for garlic, but they've got plums. So
That's nice.
in summer, there's plums. And because of that video, I won plum jam from that place. They make plums. So they saw my video and they're like, oh, okay, this is really cool. Here's a gift. I want plum jam.
Nice.
So, and then Tongyong is like, obviously coastal areas are known for their fish. Some fish, like that mud fish, you can eat it raw. I mean, if you very adventurous, you can try that. But yeah.
One last question for me before you jump in, Tony. What would you say is the biggest or closest similarity in terms of way of living, culture, lifestyle between South Korea and South Africa? Aside from the Souths.
The thing is, I would say, is that they have a big value on family. Though I noticed the younger generation they want to distance themselves from it, but your family plays a very big role in your life. And then culturally speaking, my background and culturally speaking, Koreans, there is a lot of similarity. So like sitting on the floor and eating or sleeping on the floor. What else we could say? Spicy food.
You're telling me all the reasons to go to South Korea again.
And I mean, if you love rice, yeah. Although the rice is different. It's not long-grained rice.
The
It's
sticky
sort of
rice?
fat, a little sticky. And you had black rice. And it's so like my friends from America and the UK and South Africa always complain that they're getting fat because of the amount of rice they're eating. And they're like, Ubie, how are you not getting fat? And I was like, well, I mean, look at me and ask me the question again. And I am of Indian descent. So at home, I eat rice every day. In Korea, it's like I have to eat rice, otherwise I'm not going to get full. So that's why I guess it's in my DNA. Or genetically part of me is to eat rice, so that's why I'm not getting fat. It's not a carb that will make me fat.
Shout out to rice. We love rice.
Yeah, I do a lot.
I think I told you about this. I had some friends in university, and they had this argument of Jollof rice.
Oh Lord.
And Ghana and Nigeria.
It's a long drawn-out war.
The West Africans to come over, they're gonna come to your page and be like, "So Ubie, who do you think is the winner?" Set you up.
It's a real war. I mean, the former Prime Minister of London was asked about this in an interview, like Jollof versus. Of course, he gave the most diplomatic answer. He said, "Oh, they're both equally nice." Well, I was like, that said, I have been loving Jollof recently. So take from that.
Wait, who is making it? Are you the one cooking it?
Oh, hell no. Of course not. Of course not. But it's really good. So props to... If the syllables matches, there's 2 syllables. So you can figure out who I'm referring to. Will not be saying their name.
Oh my God. All right, Ubie. Time for our 2 continents, 1 mic quiz. How well do you know Korea and South Africa? So I have a series of 5 questions. I'm just going to ask and you just tell me the answer. So What's the tallest mountain in Korea?
That is in the island of Jeju-do. Why am I forgetting the name? Hamji-san. Hamji-san. No, sorry, not Hamji. It's in Jeju. I forgot the name.
I think you're very close.
Halasan.
Yes,
Hala Mountain.
Halasan. Yeah. I heard it's in Jeju Island, and it's like a volcano shield, something like that. Okay. What's the national dish of South Korea?
Bibimbap.
I thought it was kimchi.
No, who
No,
are you?
bibimbap.
Bibimbap is legendary. What? Get with the program, please.
Wait, so
Kimchi is
describe
like very important. So bibimbap, it's very complicated to make though. It takes a lot of
Okay.
effort. It's basically, bibimbap is made with banchan, which is like side dishes, and it's made with all the leftover side dishes. So you've got mushrooms, it could either be a fried egg or just the raw egg yolk, the rice, your radishes, kimchi, bean sprouts, whole lot of vegetables. You can throw in like they have those mushrooms. If you have meat like gogi, bulgogi, or pork, throw it in there, and then you mix it with this red paste made from peppers. They call it, in Korean, gochu is peppers, red peppers. So you mix it with gochujang. Mix it and eat it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to check that one out. So what dynasty built the tombs in Gyeongju?
Gyeongju?
Yes.
Was
what
it the
dynasty built?
Joseon dynasty? Goryeo?
I have
Silla?
Silla. Yeah, I
Silla.
have Silla. Yeah, because I know you went there.
Yeah. So I did go there, yeah, but I have to go again. I went in the midst of winter. I was freezing. And then I was going to eat French fries. And then my friend walked past, and he was with me, and his sister had come. And he was like, "Oh, there's a Turkish shop here. We should have shawarmas." And I was like, "Why? But it's Korea. You can have shawarmas. Let's try the French fries." And we went to have shawarmas. It was the worst food I had eaten in Korea.
Shawarma?
And these were Turkish people. It was a Turkish restaurant that had shawarmas. It was horrible. Horrible.
Wow.
I don't know what was happening there, but it was terrible.
Yeah, that's not good. I was gonna say, you South African came out a little bit to remind me of Thailand when you say freezing. I was like, that is very South African.
So, next question. What does pali pali mean in Korea?
Quick, fast.
Quick. Yeah. And for the final one, I feel like you've answered this, but what's the 4-language national anthem that ends with "Let us live and strive for freedom"? It's
The South African national anthem, Nkosi Sikelel' Afrika. So Xhosa, Afrikaans, Zulu, English.
Xhosa,
Yeah.
African, and it's sung like that, just going from one language to another.
Xhosa in what's this? Black Panther was the language that they were speaking in Black Panther. It has a little bit of a click.
Yeah, because I think I heard the lady, the warrior ladies, and then she had responded to something that somebody had said, but it was a thread. She went, "Rampa, rampa."
Yeah. For an African that would love to teach in Korea, how can they do that, and what advice would you give them on that path to doing that?
Okay, so African, unfortunately, you have to be from one of the 7 English-speaking countries, okay? So you've got to have that nationality, either British, either Australian, New Zealand, South African, Canadian, or American. If you're from South Africa and Canada, or from the UK, especially, so the UK, you've got to prove that you did your schooling in the UK and that it is the language that you speak, English. In South Africa, you've got to have letters from all your schools to prove that must state on a school letterhead that your medium of education was in English from 7th grade up until matric. So in South Africa, matric is 12th grade. In Canada, because of Quebec, they speak French. They also have to have one of those letters. You have to have your degree. It has to be apostilled so in South Africa, it would be the South African Qualifications Authority. In the US, it would be the FBI. In the UK, I'm not sure who does that. but they would
Okay.
tell you who it is. Also, you have to be fit. You cannot have any mental issues. You cannot have, like, if you have asthma, no, just keep it on the down low. It is illegal for them to ask your HIV status. Don't even disclose it. Please have no visible tattoos.
Really?
Yeah, they
Wow.
have this thing with
So Tony, if
tattoos.
you ever want to be a teacher in Korea, do not have Tony the dog.
No, I mean, if you have a tattoo, just tell them, because if they find out about it at later stage,
They
they'll
have one
terminate
big
your contract.
dragon at the back.
And
They
then,
will pull the dragon out of you.
Unleash the dragon.
and then you have to have this passion for teaching, because Korean students, yes, they are cute, and I would say they are much more well behaved than South African students. I cannot speak for students from other countries because I've never taught them, but they are students at the end of the day. Think of yourself when you were a teenager or you were a student, especially when you're a teenager, you think you know better than everyone. You're going to have to deal with all of that. So if you don't like being around children, don't like being around teenagers, please take that into consideration. So from a document point of view, that's that. And then if you want to teach, please do not go via agencies that will make you pay. Go via agencies that will get paid by the Korean government. If you are going to a public school, it's much better. If you're going to a hagwon, the workload is much, much more. You get less vacation. Also, hagwons are notorious for overworking and taking advantage of you. Always, if you want to, so the hagwon route does pay a bit more, but see if they are on a blacklist. Don't take it out. It's with regards to anyone, don't take it out of desperation.
Okay.
You got to think about your own sanity and your own health at the end of the day. So that's the advice I would give anyone who wants to teach. They might be racist people. So I had a friend, I haven't had personally any racist experiences. I do know of many people that have had racist encounters. I do have 2 South African friends, and in the same city of Daegu. So they went to a center where they teach you how to swim. It was like, just to learn a new skill, and the guy didn't want them in the pool, and their students were there, and their students and the other people came to apologize to them, and obviously the people refunded them their money. So the receptionist and that were all very upset with the instructor. They told their co-teachers when they went back to work on Monday, and then their co-teachers, who are Korean, phoned, and they were very upset. So they called them again, but they haven't seen the instructors yet. I don't know whether they just moved into a different time slot or they fired him. But there are no anti-discrimination laws in Korea.
In Korea.
So you've got to take into consideration that. And then there's also things that Koreans do that might seem racist, but it's not. So like spitting on the floor. I know in America, like if someone walks past, before they walk past, you spit on the floor, it's like, oh. But it's old men Korean culture just to spit. It's very disgusting, yes, but it's not because they're racist. Even not wanting to sit next to you in the subway or the bus, Koreans don't even want to sit next to other Koreans. It's like they just want that space.
Well, pass on spit and then you spit back.
Oh, yeah.
Spitting competition.
So, yeah.
Mine's is bigger. What's up? That's what's gonna happen there. I have one more round, a rapid fire round. It's just a quick ones before we wrap up. It's just one answer in a sentence or less. What's one lesson living abroad has taught you?
Oh, make sure you are 100% sure that you want to move. I was 100% sure, and then I moved, and I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I wanted to come home not the first day, when I came to my city. I had no friends because it's a new city, and everyone looked very different from me. There was no diversity, and I was like, good Lord, what have I done to myself? Make sure you have a strong mind before you move to a less diverse, culturally diverse, ethnically, racially diverse country. But now I love it. It's like,
yeah, you love it? Okay,
yeah.
Great.
What's one thing South Africans could learn from the Koreans?
Their work culture. I always say, South Africans need to teach Koreans how to relax, and Koreans need to teach South Africans how to work efficiently. We need
Yeah,
their work culture, and they need to learn how to relax.
I
no,
think it's an African thing. I think it's just like someone said something to me. Said the reason Africa hasn't progressed so much is because we prioritize enjoyment. We prioritize enjoyment. I can't
instead
even
of
dispute it. It's
enjoyment.
probably true.
I was telling my Korean colleagues and my Korean friends that so December in South Africa is summer. Here it's winter. We don't say December, we say it's December. So
I think
it's the summer holidays, people are in their shorts, companies are closing, people are buying everywhere. We will see problems next year, January 5th, you can meet us.
Yeah.
Just spend all your money. Yeah.
Have you ever done a braai in a?
No, I haven't.
Have you had one?
No.
No.
I've had Korean barbecue, but I haven't. I need to. I haven't.
I've been told that's
It's
something you must have when you come down to South
South
Africa
Africa.
specifically. Yeah. I don't know if it's specifically Cape Town, but specifically somewhere, or Durban, somewhere.
It depends. Like if you go to Cape Town, you're gonna braai a lot of seafood. Durban will obviously be seafood, but you'll have a lot of masala and spices, given this
The
ethnic
mix.
population and mix. If you go towards the northern half, it'll be more meat based, like boerewors, chops, a whole lot of
Nice.
different things. But yeah,
Nice.
it's I think it's two things. One thing I feel like definitely Ify likes to ask this question about, because you're talking about how lonely it is. Ify likes to ask questions about dating. Like, what is
Oh
it
my
like?
God. Do I ask this question?
so a lot of people have this mindset. They watch K-dramas in these romantic Korean movies and they think, oh, they're gonna fall in love and meet their oppa or meet their girlfriend. It's very difficult for them because Koreans work culture is so much of their life that it really takes a lot out of their day. So girls would not have an issue, but many Korean guys would see them as I was with a foreigner. That's something really serious. There are some that are happy, married, and stuff. But I always try to tell foreigners is that Koreans are not some kind of, foreign species. They are human beings. That physically, yes, they are different, but they go through the same emotions as everyone else. Culturally, they might be a little different. You might be in for a lot of culture shock, but do not confuse K-pop and K-drama and K-movies for reality, because you're going to learn the hard way.
Yeah. Do you watch K-pop and K-drama now?
I do watch a little bit to help me with my Korean K-drama. Me personally, so when I first moved to Korea, there was this coffee shop I used to go to often, and I was still learning Korean, and the lady, the cashier, tried to buy me the coffee, and I misunderstood it as, I will help you with the coffee. And I was like, what? You mean help me carry it to the table? Because everything is self. You just pay for it, get it, drink, bring it back. And I think I frustrated her so much that she was like, okay. And then there was someone that I was seeing. Korean dating culture is very different. So it didn't really work out. It was like if they text you, it's like, oh yeah, hello, yeah, immediately you can send one another sheesh, the amount of texts a day, it's crazy. And there must not be a minute that passes. You've got to immediately say, oh, hi, how are you? Here, yeah, this, that, blah, 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 blah.
Time sensitive. Pali pali.
Yeah, pali pali.
Wow. Whereas I guess I don't know. I mean, Nigeria, sometimes you can text someone and it's like 1 hour later, you get a response and you hope for the best. I have this little clip that I was going to play. I had another South African in there that she wasn't able to come on timing, but she answered a lot of the questions. And we're gonna wrap up soon, but I'm going to see and just get your perspective on some of the things that she said. So just let me know if you can hear it. I'm gonna try to play it.
Living and working in Asia, the way I see it is that because of the convenience and because of the comfort and the safety, I wonder if like this could be my permanent home, because in South Africa, like I don't have that level of safety. I mean, depending on where you're staying, you do have some level of safety, but you still have to be careful. You still have to be wary, as opposed to here where regardless of where you're staying, I mean, unless you're like in Seoul or like the bigger city, like maybe Busan, I guess, where the crime rate would be higher, but as an overall thing, you still feel more safe. You still feel more secure in Korea. And what I do prefer is that, like, because like if you have to go to any government offices, it takes forever to get things done. However, if I have to go and get any documentation done over here, it takes much less time, because like they try to be more efficient, they try to be more careful. And what I liked about here is that there is this, like, everything that you do gets basically tracked.
So when it comes to safety, do you feel like she's right about that?
Yes, so it took me like a month or just under a month to realize that I can walk outside after 6. I can walk outside after midnight. I don't have, like, in Korea, people would leave their phone. If you go to a coffee shop, that's how they book the table. You put your phone or you put your bag there. No one would steal it. It is very safe. The chances of your belongings being stolen is very, very low. That's not to say crime doesn't happen. You do get different kinds of crime, like sexual crime, stalking. All of that does exist, especially in your more very popular touristy areas in Seoul. What's this? Itaewon, Gangnam, Hongdae. But overall, it's much more safer, yes, than South Africa. No one's gonna come and put a knife to you and take your bag or steal your wallet or your phone. It is very safe, yeah. I also see myself staying here longer because it's so safe. And I'm so used to now just walking with my phone here and there. Like in South Africa, I wouldn't take it out unless I'm in a shopping center or I'm inside a store, and I would hold it like this. But in Korea, I'm like, yeah.
And in London as well now these days, if you're in central London, you're supposed to hold your phone tight, which is but the people snatching phones out here. So
Okay. Just one more thing. Describe what home is to you now in one word.
Home is to me now, it's where my family is, and the food I used to eat growing up as a child, the people that I would see so often as a child, the sounds, which is the animals and the languages that I grew up around, the conversations that you have with one another, seeing your neighbors. That's home for me. So I always say Korea is where I live, but South Africa is always my home.
So, favorite tradition here, you have to teach us 2 languages. So you have to teach us a phrase in Korea and one in your local South African dialect. So we're all
Uh,
ears.
So when someone
Hopefully,
is
oh no, I'm so hopefully Ify can get it this time, because the last time someone tried to teach us Mandarin, it was a struggle. But we're hoping Korea will work out for her.
so like, when you think someone's lying,
Mm-hmm.
you can say "gorajiji masayo."
Goraji.
Gora? Yes, gorajiji masayo. And in Afrikaans, it sounds very vulgar, but "jy praat kak" means you're talking shit.
Ye proud cock.
Yeah, jy
Yeah.
praat kak.
Ye proud cock. And then Goya Giji
Gorajiji masayo.
Gorajiji Masayo.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to learn that. Gorajiji Masayo. And anytime you're saying shit, you're proud cock.
Jy praat. Yeah. Yay.
you're gonna get a proud cup.
Yay.
That's what you're gonna get.
So yay, J-Y in Afrikaans is yay. Yay praat kak.
Yay.
Yay, prakas.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow. So if you do have anything else before I
I think I've covered all my questions. I'm very happy about the conversations we've had. I think I learned a little bit more about, South Africa, a little bit more about food, the culture, the history, apartheid. now know a bit more about Korea. So it's been a very fun and interesting conversation today speaking with you.
Pleasure speaking to you guys. I never expected to be on a podcast though. So yeah.
It's I think it's something like we all have different stories, and like our friends, our brothers and sisters back home, we have this assumption, where we see our friends or family in diaspora and we think every time everything is rosy, or we have all this perception, and sometimes it's good to just hear from everyday people, see what life is, your experiences, and hopefully, when they want to make those journeys, they can make informed decisions to decide where they want to go. So Ubie's journey from South Africa to South Korea, according to Ify, South, isn't just a travel story. It's a reminder that purpose does always get you where you want. It grows when you sleep. It grows in every step of the unknown. And you just have to keep choosing to learn, to love, and live your life with curiosity. If watching this episode, if you took anything from this episode, I wanted to, for me, is your identity. It follows you wherever you are. It's not by label, it's who you bring out. I think that's what tells everybody who you are. Ubie is South African Indian, but you can tell he's even more African than me. He knows a lot more. Like, I was just amazed when he was just calling the dates, and I'm like, wow, this guy. He's taking me to school here.
I love history. So,
but I hope everyone that watches this, takes something from this. Wherever you are in the world, wherever you go in the world, you just wear who you are in your sleeves. Let people know who you are. That's what creates that identity. That's what makes who you are, not the color of your skin or how you look. The culture, our families, that's what we convey, And I want everybody to take a second right now and comment one lesson that they've learned from this. And if there's anything that you felt that you got from this, I would like you to subscribe, like, and tag a friend. Let everyone hear Ubie's story. Let everyone hear our story. And we hope that we continue to bring more amazing people to share their stories, and hopefully they would impact your life in a positive way. And you can also join this Two Continents, One Mic family as we continue to bring our brothers and sisters from all over the world. So, Ubie, definitely thank you for stopping by. I know it's busy. I wish you safe journey on your travels. So and hopefully we're gonna have you back again, because I feel like there's so many other things that you have so much to talk about, and I was like, okay, I gotta get Ubie and get like a couple other Africans, and we have all these topics that we're gonna talk. So I definitely reach out to you, check your schedule, and we'll come up with a plan.
sure, no problem. I look forward to coming back with more
Lovely.
stories.
Lovely speaking with you.
Thanks. It was lovely speaking with you guys as well. Just if I ever visit you guys, there's only one request I have.
Sure.
I want jollof rice.
I was literally gonna say you want bibimbap.
Don't worry, we'll take you to there's the one that they call party jollof. Like, when it looks like, when you smell it and taste it, you feel like you're in a Nigerian party. That's the one. We're gonna get you there. It's gonna activate all your senses. So, well, guys, until next time, stay real, stay connected, and keep the mic alive.